Superstitions are not always the best, but in retrospect, we must respect them because they are to be respected. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of The Rebuttal. I am your host, Robby A. Shaw, and this week we're going to talk about superstitions because last week I made a very grave error. In the middle of an undefeated season, I've been wearing the exact same attire every single episode. If it's a divisional game, I wear my jersey. If it's a non-divisional game, I've worn my Steelers polo. But for last week, I decided to mix things up and to do something different and to wear a Pittsburgh holiday sweater. And we lost. Mistakes were made, lessons were learned, and from now on, I will stick to what has worked for us. I will wear my polo, I will wear my jersey, and yes, this is a Pirates hat, but I've been wearing this Pirates hat since week 1, so guess what, Carlton? I am not changing that at all. Maybe when we get to the playoffs, I'll switch it up a little bit, but I'm not even sure if that's going to happen then because don't want to lose that. So that's just my little public service announcement to let you all know that you should get used to this shirt because it will be worn for the rest of the season. And now let's talk a little bit about this week's game. The Steelers did end up losing this week to the Washington football team, and it was a hard game to watch. I couldn't watch it, so I just had to watch highlights. But from what I was able to see afterward, a reoccurring theme of dropped passes, non-running, our defense holding on as long as they could, but then also injuries led to us losing to that team 23-17, and our 11-game win streak broken, and we are no longer undefeated. Whatever year Dolphins that went undefeated and won the Super Bowl, they can pop champagne because they are still the only undefeated team in the history of the NFL to win a Super Bowl. So congratulations to them, and congratulations to the Washington football team. They did beat us, and we have to respect them for that. We were up 14-0 at one point, and it looked like we were going to cruise to another win. And then we just couldn't get things going. That front four of Washington is a very strong front four, a lot of first-round picks on that line, and they came to play. Everyone started putting their hands up. Everyone started knocking balls down. That's actually how we ended up losing the game because we had a last drive in 2 minutes in Pittsburgh. I'm thinking Ben's going to lead us down to score, and the first pass is tipped at the line and intercepted, and then Washington runs out the clock. So we end up losing that game, like I said, 23-17. But also, I must say that I don't feel too bad about having lost that game because I feel like every week you don't lose, the pressure just mounts and mounts and mounts. And it's the pressure of winning the games. It's the pressure of getting everyone else's best punch. Every team that looks at you is like, hey, we may not be having a good season, but we got the Steelers. We're going to give them hell. And that's what they did. Everyone turns it up to their fullest potential because they want to be that team that knocks off that undefeated team. And this time it was Washington. And so we lose that game. And now we're going into this week against the Bills. This will be our third game in 12 days, which is it is so hard. And I kind of expected the Steelers to play a little bit badly last week. I did say I thought they would play better because they played so badly the week before against the Ravens, but I still felt like that wasn't a trap game. It's a game of circumstance, if I can say that. I'll say this. You push the Ravens game back so far, and we win that game. And so now everyone's like, you know what? As bad as we played, we still won. We're great. Now you play this Washington team who's had 12 days to rest because they hadn't played since Thanksgiving. So they had played a long time ago, and they're coming off of that rest. Then the Steelers, I think, are coming off of 5 days rest or something like that. It was a loss of circumstance. But I'm also not going to take anything away from Washington and Alex Smith. They did play a really good game. They could have dialed it in, packed up their tents when they went down 14-0, but they didn't. They kept fighting, they kept pushing, and they made it a game that way. So hats off to Washington for not giving up. They fought, they won. They have 5 wins now, and good for them. And now that brings us to the Buffalo Bills this week. The Bills actually played on Monday after the Steelers played their game, and they defeated the San Francisco 49ers 34-24 to go to 9-3 on the season. The Bills coming into this game have won 2 games in a row, defeating the Chargers and then for the 49ers, and are now playing this game at home against the Steelers. And this game has been one of those games that has scared me for quite some time. I am not even going to pretend it didn't. It scared me last year when we played them because we were 8-5 then. It was a real turning point kind of a game. We were still trying to make the playoff, and we needed one more win to just get us over that hump. And then we played Buffalo in Pittsburgh. That game did not go well, and we ended up losing that game, and that ended up leading us to 3 straight losses. We ended the season 8-8. And we missed the playoffs. So this time, I feel like this game is just as much as a turning point game. I say that because the Steelers have just lost a game, and we are now 11-1. Kansas City is also 11-1. People have been talking about the Steelers and saying they haven't played anyone. Every time someone says that to me, I say 2 simple statements. 1, we only play the teams on our schedule. We do not make our schedule. The NFL makes our schedule. It's not our fault that we're playing teams that may not be good when we play them. The second part of that is if we win a game by 1 point or if we win a game by 30, a win is a win is a win. At the end of the day, right now we are currently tied with Kansas City for the best record in the AFC, but we own the tiebreaker against the Chiefs, so we currently still hold the number 1 seed. I do not see Kansas City losing many games down the stretch. I just have to go ahead and say that. So we have got to play a good game. We've got to get this win if we are going to have a chance to hold the number 1 seed and get that first round bye. At this point of the season, we see that the Steelers have had a jacked up schedule. Their games have been moved. Their games have been moved again. Their games have been moved 3 or 4 times. We are now playing, like I said, the 3rd game in 12 days. We are going to need the rest. Also, now that I'm talking about that, I would like to also mention that in the game last week against the Washington football team, Joe Hayden went out and Robert Spillane went out. The week before that, we lost Bud Dupree. These are injuries that happen in the course of a season, but I can't help but wonder if some of it has to do with the fact that the Steelers' schedule keeps getting jacked up. I just want to put that out there. Not that I'm making excuses, because like Mike Tomlin says, we don't make excuses. We play the games, and we do what we're supposed to do, and we'll win. And we are 11-1. I have to say that. But I do have to admit that I am nervous about this game. I have to admit that I'm nervous about the thought of playing the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo at this point in the season with the way our receivers have been looking and the way that our running game has been anemic. Now, there is some good news. The good news is that we are getting Mike Pouncey back, who's been out the last 2 weeks, or let me say it this way, the last 2 games, because I don't feel like it's been a week. It's been like a week and a half. He's been out the last 2 games due to COVID. He's back. James Conner also was out the last 2 games. Not that he was doing a lot, but he is our best running back, really, if we're being honest. So he's back. Do I expect the running game to be a little bit better because of those 2 pieces? Absolutely. I do feel like it'll be better. Do I feel like it'll be awesome off the charts? Absolutely not, because that's not what it's been this season. So saying all of that, I do want to break down some of the stats because on paper, Buffalo's 9-3, Steelers are 11-1. The Buffalo Bills look like a pretty good team. So after all the other tests we've had, I feel like this is our next big test. Like I've said before, every game in the NFL is a test. This is a bigger test. People have been talking about the schedules and the people we haven't played and blah, 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 blah. Somebody even told me on Instagram the other day that they don't count the Browns win, but the Browns are 9-3. So, wow. What are we doing here? Like, if it's about the record of the teams we played, we've got some wins. We've got the Browns. The Ravens are still above 500 after their win this week. And the Titans, who are, I think, are 8-4 or something like that. So we've beaten teams. So everyone who has something to say about the teams we beat the teams, 1, that are on our schedule, and 2, we can only play those teams. So now this is the next test. In Buffalo on Sunday night. This is going to be a nationally televised game. This is going to be a big, big game. And I'm nervous. I'm honestly nervous. The Bills are ranked 10th in offense. We're ranked 22nd. The Bills are ranked 21st in defense, and we're ranked second. Don't know when it went from first to second, but whatever, I'll take it. The Bills are ranked 4th in passing, and we're ranked 14th. And in rushing, good thing neither one of us are good. The Bills are ranked 23rd. Steelers ranked 29th, which is abysmal. Very much abysmal. And then thinking about back to last year when we played them, the Steelers ended up losing. Remember, I think we had Duck Hodges as our quarterback at that point, and our defense was carrying us. And that was a really hard-fought game then, too. The Steelers ended up losing by a touchdown, 17-10. So I say all that to say, Buffalo's offense is better than ours, which is something I never thought I'd say in my lifetime. Our defense is still better than theirs. But if our receivers are going to drop passes and we're not able to run the ball, we can lose this game. I have to pause there because I have been one of the most honest Steelers fans. And there are games on the schedule that I circled and said, those could be some hard wins. The first Cleveland game, actually, I didn't circle that one. The first Titans game, when we actually played it, circled that one. The 2 Ravens games, circled. This game against the Bills and the game against the Colts are also the other 2 games that I have circled. These are games that will tell us who we are. We know they're not a really good running team right now. We were in the beginning of the season. We're not anymore. We know that the Steelers play great defense. They've been doing that all season long. We know our passing game doesn't put up astounding numbers, but Ben is throwing the ball faster than he's ever thrown it. So I'm nervous about this game. I do think, based on last year's numbers, of it being a 7-point game, and even with us losing to Washington by 6 points, with all the drop passes, with Joe Hayden being injured, with Spillane being out, with Bud Dupree being out, it was still a close game. So I'm not going to say that this will be a blowout game. I've been wrong about that before, and I hope I'm not wrong about this one. I was right last week when I said Washington and the Steelers was going to be a closer game, and it was, just the wrong way. But this is going to be a hard game. If the Steelers want to win, we have to catch the ball. If the Steelers want to win, we've got to run the ball. And if the Steelers want to win, we've got to stop Josh Allen. If Buffalo wants to win, they just got to keep doing what they're doing. And I don't even want to talk about what Buffalo has to do to win. They just got to let Josh Allen do what he's been doing. Josh Allen has been putting up really good numbers this season, and he's been the reason why, honestly, they're the 4th-ranked offense, a 4th-ranked passing offense. He has 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, 3,403 yards, and a 105.9 passer rating. He is looking damn good this season, if you ask me. And it's not to say that Ben isn't looking good. It's not to say that at all. It's just to say that they have something good going on in Buffalo. And they've had something good going on in Buffalo for a while now. They play good defense in Buffalo. They have a good passing game in Buffalo. They're doing what they do. So now we get to what I think the final score of this game will be. This is a hard one. This is a very hard one for me to pick because there's the Steelers fan side of me that just says, you know what, believe in your team no matter what. And then there's the honest Steelers fan side of me that says, you got to be honest. Your team has not looked good these past couple weeks. Your team has played close games all season. They've had a few blowouts, but they mostly played close games. But even in those close games, you felt confident that they were going to get the job done. And I don't know if it's this 3-game stretch. I don't know if it's because they got to 11 wins and no losses. I don't know what it is. But it just feels like something is missing. Now, I do want to say that after that loss, Mike Tomlin came out and talked about the drops. He talked about if people don't want to catch the ball, we get people who will catch the ball. And that made me feel really good because in past years, we would just sweep it under the rug and say it's okay. I've also heard Ben say he's got to be better. All the things you want to hear from your players and from your coach. And you know what? I got to go with Mike Tomlin. I've got to go with the fact that he will turn this around. And the thing is, we're talking about turning something around, that has 11 wins and 1 loss. We're talking about things like the sky is falling, because as Steelers fans, we know what can happen. We know that this team can play down, but we also know that they can play up. And this team last year, when they were down most of the year, played up to Buffalo. To only lose by a touchdown when Buffalo was rolling last year and we had our backup quarterback in, they still showed up. They still played really good football. So I'm going to say this. Originally, I wasn't sure which way I was going to go, but I think I just talked myself up. So I am going to say the Steelers will go into Buffalo. They will win this game 24-17. They will go 12-1. I'm going to also go one step further and say we're going to figure out the run game. We are going to figure out a way to run the ball. Maybe not all the time, but when we need to run the ball, we are going to do a better job of running the ball. I heard Jerome Bettis said this week that it's a matter of passion and dedication. We've got to be dedicated to running the ball. It's wintertime in upstate New York. We got to be ready to go down there and run it down their throats if we have to, because teams are starting to see that we do the short passes. So safeties are coming up to cut those short passes off. We've got to get a little bit creative. What happened to those Chase Claypool sweeps that we were doing earlier in the season? Let's mix a few of those in. We got Deontay Johnson. Let's get some sweeps going there. Let's run some screens. Let's run some draws. We got to let them know that we are going to be the biggest, baddest bullies in Buffalo on Sunday, and we're going to push them around. And if we can do that, if we can get to Josh Allen and terrorize him. Yes, I know Bud Dupree's not there anymore, but I do know we still got that other bad man, TJ Watt. And Mike Tomlin said it. Hey, TJ Watt doesn't depend on somebody else to get his job done. He does it himself. He had a fumble that he forced this week, which is his first forced fumble of the season in game 12. And I might even add, he knows that he's got to step his game up because Bud's not there, and I expect TJ to go off again. I expect him to make some impact play where we need an impact play that will change the game in our favor. So, based on all of that, I'm going to say the Steelers are going to go into Buffalo and win 24-17. We're going to be 12-1, still hold on to that number 1 seed in the AFC, and things are going to be calmer in Pittsburgh. Sometimes you need a loss to remind you what it takes to win. We've been getting by with subpar performances. We've been getting by with people not giving their best. I read an article this week where Juju said drop balls is a lack of concentration. He also said something that I thought was very important. He said the drop balls is because people are trying to make moves before catching the ball. I believe, based on his comments, based on Tomlin's comments, that the Steelers wide receivers are going to do a much better job of catching the ball. Because in all of those games that have been close, if our receivers just catch the ball, those games aren't that close. So if we can get these drops under control, get some type of running game going, and just play the defense we've been playing, we can go into Buffalo. We can win this game, and we can be 12-1. But hey, that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think this game is going to look like. And if you're watching this after the game is already over, don't put something in the comments with the exact score, because that's something I would do. But other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. I did have a guest lineup today. My brother was going to come back, but I was like, you know what? After a loss, after I messed things up and wore the wrong shirt, I said, I feel like I need a reset. I need a cleansing. So just me this week. We will have a guest next week. But, hey, I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for watching every week. I talked to somebody this week who said he really looks forward to them and he's really enjoying watching the videos. And it feels good to know that people watch it. So thank you all for watching a third time. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. I hope you'll tune in next week when we discuss the Steelers and the Bengals. It's not the same game. We will be in Paul Brown Stadium, but without Joe Burrow, I really am not looking forward to this game as much as I was. He did really excite me, and I was like, man, the Bengals got something special. Prayers to him, and I hope he comes back next year even better so we can have a little bit more fun in the AFC North. That's all for this week. Stay safe, everybody. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other, and I'll catch you right back here next week on The Rebuttal.